Ron.
And on a wonderful Wednesday.
Yes. Hi, Sasha.
Hi, Shannon. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you on your birthday?
Well, I'm 49. I'm 49. Yeah, so actually, this is a goodbye party for my 40s, I guess.
Exciting. Well, happy birthday.
Thank you so much. Thank you
Did
so
you
much.
celebrate today?
Yeah, it was very intense and very nice day to spend.
Good.
Yeah, and it's still ongoing because we are just about to go on the party after the show is done. So,
Well, I mean, on behalf of myself and anyone who's going to watch, wish you all your heart's desires and everything that you want to bring forth in this new year of your life.
ooh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so a big topic in front of us, right?
Yeah, it is. I think last time we talked about separation anxiety, and we were kind of hinting into how that also there's elements of emotional entanglement perhaps involved in that, and we're going to unpack a little bit more about what that is, what that looks like, how that shows up, maybe reasons why.
Yeah.
um, and this topic, this is pretty dear to my heart because this is part of how I got to know you and Vedran, through my little sweet dog, Izzy. So I'm going to share a little bit about that, and then we can kind of, talk about emotional entanglement. But for everyone watching, I had a little dog. She was my first dog, Izzy. She was a 4.5 pound Chihuahua Yorkie mix. Corporate world, working way too many hours, traveling often, and I had wanted a dog for a long time and hadn't done it because I was always working. And I finally decided, you know what, everybody figures this out somehow with kids, with dogs, with whatever. So like I get to figure it out too. And I went to a rescue, and I went actually to get one dog. There's a Maltipoo named Leo. And then when I got there, she said that he was still a little too traumatized. So probably they needed to work with him a little while before I could come back and get him. And in the meantime, Izzy was jumping up and down and barking and getting my attention and getting my attention. And I was like, I finally couldn't stop noticing her. And I finally asked, who is this dog? Is this somebody that's the volunteer's dog? And she's like, oh no, actually she's up for adoption. And it was just like, I couldn't not, like we were talking to each other. She was talking to me. So I asked if I could hold her. Never in a million years thought I would get a dog that small, because I was in, Los Angeles. I thought, oh my God, I'm going to look like that girl. But once I held her, it was kind of all over. And anyway, I brought her home, and it was such a learning curve with my lifestyle of trying to figure out how to take care of her and adjust with what she needed and learn what she needed. And, I guess this is why I empathize with other dog moms and dog dads, because we do our best. It's like my heart was good. I wanted to give her a good home. I loved her a ton. I did everything that I knew, and I kept asking people for help and advice. But it wasn't until I, down the road, many years later, meeting you when Izzy was already sick,
How
that I
old
started
was she at the time when we met?
8.5.
8.5. Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess she was 8 because she still lived longer than that. And that's when, she had started having tremors during the pandemic, and I didn't yet know why when I met you. I think I didn't know why, but you asked me what had happened, as if anything had happened. Just, and I was like, this is odd, because no one usually asks you anything that's like kind and caring like that. And by the way, when you and Vedran had your just cute boutique, how you groom the dogs was so inviting and open and loving, and it felt so completely different than I'd ever had seen anyone groom dogs, that all of it was like, I was just taking in so much. I was like, wow, this feels so, the energy felt so loving and good environment for her. And I was worried because she was having seizures. And I remember telling you, like, please be careful because, I don't know how she'll be. But you were so gentle with her. And then you started having this conversation with me, asking me what had happened. And a lot had happened. A lot had happened before then. So
there we have always a time in place, because the dogs are like a little children, because the evolution of the dogs is capturing the wolves as a little puppies, and then they are but then that's where the evolution, that's how the dogs and wolves split in something that we see. It's still the same species, but the dogs are forever puppies, and what they need is that interaction with the parents. So the humans are representing the parents of the wolf puppies. And that's exactly, and since we live in a structure of the family, like a pack, can you follow?
Sorry, I just needed to get electricity because my computer's about to die.
That's okay. We all struggle with that. It will be either on this show or on some other show. I had it I had it 2 shows ago, so I see you and I can.
What else can happen today?
That's okay. You see how a lot happens when the emotional topics of our subconsciousness are to arise.
Whew, okay, I'm in. I'm plugged in now. I'm good. Okay.
Okay, so you're charging.
I apologize. I am fully present now. Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I was just taking a little step back from that point where you stopped, is because I just wanted to bring that close connection to why the people feel dogs as babies and why the dogs feel humans as parents. That's nothing unnatural in that, because that's a very natural dynamic for the dogs. Because as I said, what they are missing is that structure of the family. They are taken away in a sense of the evolution, how the evolution actually moved the dog away from the wolf, capturing that moment of cuteness, and shape that cuteness into Chihuahua, Doberman, anything that we know today the dog is looking like. But the dog-human interaction is always on that level, baby to a parent. And that's what we need to learn. Then the
dog is always on that level, baby to parent. Because I didn't feel like I looked. Look, I was raised in the Midwest, and dogs were dogs. I wasn't raised that like, oh, that's my little baby, and I like consciously that's not what I thought about her. But of course, she's adorable and cute, and I wanted to make sure she would be okay and that I would take good care of her. And I had to figure that out with my schedule, like with being in the office and not leaving her home too long, and all the things. And we talked about this when we had Alex on, about like I wanted to make sure she got walked, like so she got exercise, and not really understanding now until you talked about it what a walk really is for a dog versus just playing with them. So I look back and I think about the choices that I made with her during that time. So I was single at the time and had my time with her and living by the beach, and we'd go on walks, and oh my gosh, she was like little prima donna. She loved, she like.
She really looked like cute when she
yeah.
was like a little princess.
She's very much that way. And, we were very like, whatever you call, bonded, close. But I didn't understand leadership as you and I have talked about it now, like in the rituals. Mm-hmm. Talk about how you set that in place to really make sure your dog doesn't take on a burden of having to take care of you or protect you. So I didn't know that. So I'm like guilty of everything. When you talked about the ritual, I come home, I'm like, oh, hi, I'm excited to see her. And when I leave, it's bye. And
Mommy will be back soon.
yeah, Mom, I'll be back. I'll see you soon. Yeah, that kind of thing. And then, but then I got with my fiance at the time. We moved in together, and I mean, in hindsight, right, I look at that like, oh my gosh, what a disruption for her, and figuring out the new dynamic of everything, because there was him and his son. And
How long after you got her you met your fiance?
2 years. I think that's right. 2 years.
Yeah. That's kind of usually it's always when you put down the dynamic of you two, it's not anymore like you single, right? You're not single. Now you have some obligations, you need to go home, someone depends on you, you become something you were not before you met her, right? So now she's nourishing and preparing you for the next step in your life. And meeting someone that you're gonna end up being engaged to, it's not a small task in this life. And we cannot get to that point unprepared. Otherwise, maybe it's gonna just be another relationship that's gonna last like a month or two.
Mm-hmm.
And you ended up next to her meeting your fiance. That's not a small thing that she got you ready for.
Mm-hmm. I met him, and he, like I said, he had a son, so I had a stepson. Mm-hmm. And then, so stepson was scared of dogs, like really scared of dogs. And Izzy is 4.5 pounds. And so that was a dynamic we got to work on him with. And eventually he came to really love her, so much so that he wanted his own dog. And so fast forward a couple more years, and we decided to get a dog for him, for Max. And whoa, did that change everything. And I think we touched on that in one thing, but that's where my heart just hurts, because I did not realize how that was going to be so hard for Izzy. And I didn't read her communication. I didn't know what was happening. She became like aggressive about her food, and she was like so mad at him, like she couldn't stand him. And then there was this competition, like with running, like, running down to play, and she just seemed so anxious, or like barking at him, which I'm guessing now is her trying to protect me maybe from that. But then he had a hard time not going to the bathroom, so my fiance at the time wanted to kennel him. So then we had to end up kenneling both of them, which was like, why are we doing that? Because she's fine, like she's potty trained. So again, hindsight, like we didn't know how to do this. We didn't know how to figure it out so they could eat. I tried to separate them. I tried various different things, but what I can see now is that just wasn't a good situation for her. Like it wasn't a good situation for her. And I really didn't know how to manage it. I thought, they say, oh, give them time to adjust and it'll work out. And that wasn't the case. We needed to do something more proactive.
But now you again touched and said very nice words when you said that was not a nice situation for her. And that immediately on this topic that we are going around today, when we talk about emotional entanglements, raises a new question. Was that a nice environment for you?
No, it wasn't.
That's where the things immediately brings our attention to. That when the dogs are getting out from control, or actually something new in a behavior arise when the system or our family or dynamic that we live in changes, when the pack dynamic changes, then the dogs explicitly, instinctively know where who stays. And then if that's not present, if that's not respected, and again, if a human doesn't take over the responsibility and lead the pack and then leave the dog down where the dog belongs, in a lower rank, or it's not a lower rank, it's just a place. You can't even call it a hierarchy. You need to call it order. Let's say the right order for the dynamic of the family where the pets are first all the humans, and then the pets as they put themselves together. The dogs would make themselves work it out if the humans don't interfere. But then where the emotional entanglements happen, when the dogs take the burden of leading the pack, okay, leading the family, and then they, not only that they now lead the family in their little mind, they only want to make a kind of adjustment of the members of the pack, of the family. Okay? So now what she obviously with her behavior started to talk immediately is that Shannon, Lee, Thompson, it's time to do something. And you're going to learn that either like immediately assessing those signals and try. It's not necessarily always need to lead to separation, because there is a lot of things that can be done if both partners and everyone in the family structure works together on cohesive movement of spiritual and personal development. All the obstacles of this world can be overcome.
And we did not have that. I mean, that's probably the biggest reason why we're not together, is he and I were not like spiritually aligned. Personal growth was not a priority, for him, and it is for me. And so eventually we just start going apart. And then I also,
before you was able to realize.
Before I was able to realize, well, because I still kept thinking, oh, maybe I'm not communicating it well. Maybe I haven't asked enough. Maybe I haven't, I leaned in, I was just thinking maybe hope against hope that there was something that would make him want to work at it more, or try more, or grow with me more, or bring me, like more into that integration. And then I just took me too long to just accept that, like, that's not who he is. That's not what he wanted at that time. And I needed to just accept that and thank him for what we had and go on. But Izzy got it before I did. So she was letting me know, and I just was slow to see it.
Because that's how they are trying to save their pack, their family, by putting attention with their wrong behavior. It's not a wrong behavior, it's a panic for the sustainability of the family. It's a panic for the sustainability of the family. And it's nothing wrong in a separation. If it's done healthy, if it's done on time, and if it's done with respect, no one gets hurt.
And it wasn't, because I think that's where I learned a lot. This in hindsight, me trying too hard for too long, giving too much. And then there's like lying behavior started.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I think animals are pretty amazing, because she probably sensed this stuff before I did. And then once that kind of came to like where I could like see it, that I was like, oh, I'm being lied to. Like then it was like obvious we are not in harmony. Like we are not on the same page with the same goals, trying to make this happen. Like I need to go. And then with that, like other things follow. But yeah, like I have a real big regret in hindsight, just seeing, like, I think I was not happy and I was struggling, and so was she.
There is nothing to regret, right? Everything is a lesson, and everything is we need to grow from everything without any regret. Because if we would have this consciousness, if in a time that we are talking about now, nothing of that would happen. But neither we would have this awareness and consciousness without those experiences. So if you would put yourself probably in the same shoes that you were then, probably everything would happen the same. And now from this point and this perspective, the responsibility on ours is much higher, because we know how to enter the relationship responsibly, how to work on the relationship, and how to never stop working on the relationship. And if you have this amazing little creature helping you in that way, that every single time he can predict, because why the dogs can predict, and why dogs separate, because they are constantly in the survival mode, because that's their instinct to protect the group.
So I'm just curious, since I was her primary bond going into this new pack, but then she becomes, we're all the pack. And then when this new dog comes in, and there was all this, like, she had more aggressive behavior, and like she was very paranoid about her food because he was a lot bigger than her, all the things. Was she trying to protect our relationship to keep us together, or was she trying to protect me?
Now it's again like now we are entering the constellation. This is the question you ask are already putting constellation together. Like it's because humans, if we would need to pick a representative now, so we would have your
yes, I remember this. Yeah,
his son, right? Yeah. And then you, and the dogs would be easy, and the other dog. And now the movement that happens with this, then that dynamic, then it would really we would be able to witness whom and from what and from who and whom the easy was protecting, you or the food or whoever. And that's where this emotional entanglement is very important, because they can always precisely take us to the root cause of the problem in the behavior. On the problem is it's not that you cannot that you didn't know. For example, oftentimes we do know what we need to do. We just, because of no matter what reason, we don't feel ready, we don't have resources, we wait for some better time. As you said, we think something gonna change, and occasionally, one life later, nothing changed. Like 5 years later, nothing changed. 50 years later, we are still trying to get this and that, and and then when we get that, then we're gonna, any law of attraction, spiritual guidance, whatever, whoever, wherever you want to go, no one teaches you wait for anything. Do it now, here, we in a gratefulness, with our responsibility, respect to the resources you have here and now, and from there everything gonna grow.
Yeah.
Right, and that is where the dogs are always.
But and I think that this is where I think this is so valuable, to learn how they are communicating us through their behavior, because I could know something was wrong, something was off, something was different with her behavior, but I couldn't tell what it was, and what it was, what I needed to do to adjust.
So and there is a two option, right? At that point, there is an option to focus yourself on her behavior, and then you will start, for example, communicating her language in order to create an environment in which she gonna start behaving differently. But that exactly immediately might mean taking a responsibility for my own life and move out from the relationship.
Yeah.
By focusing on the dog, you would gain this trust, because I say, okay.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, because I'm like, I would have tuned in that it wasn't right for her faster, which in turn means it wasn't right for me.
Because what you need to do, you need, when anything goes wrong with the dog, you start 4 rituals. You start feeding the dog properly, you start coming in and out from properly, you start doing some exercise, right? You start doing things. And by doing those things, you become a leader. But not only leader to your dog, you become a leader on your own, because now you are doing something that inspires some other one to behave the way, and respond right way. And immediately you get your little dog to respond right way, and you immediately created yourself, shaped yourself in the person you was not before that. And
but I couldn't do it in the context, though, with the other dog. This is what I mean. I did not understand with the 2-dog dynamic how to, I did try to change things. I tried to feed her this way. I tried to feed her that way. I tried to do, but all of it had this dynamic was still chaotic and still a mess. And I think that is because it was all chaotic and it was all a mess.
Exactly, you said. The relationship between a dog was a living reality of your inner dynamic of your relationship. So that is why it's so.
The stepmom. Sorry, I was a stepmom. We had his mother that was also part of the chaos, even though she didn't live in the home. And she had gone through another divorce and was single again, and that also changed the dynamic of everything, because I think she wanted into our family dynamic more, and she wanted to be more like, you know,
we already went
crazy
through.
how all that starts going on, and the dogs were kind of showing that.
Yes.
I was just slow on the uptake.
Yeah, that's okay. Now you know. Next dog, next relationship.
I
Next.
know, but I mean, this is what I'm saying, and like, this is why I went, like, everybody watching dog moms, dog dads, because like, she was 4.5 pounds and she was taking on a lot. Like, I was asking a lot of her that I didn't realize in hindsight. You know, like, again, you just think, oh, we're getting another dog, and it takes time to adjust. We're taught basic training things, not that the dog's behavior is actually their way of communicating. So if there's something off, that like, you tune into that and see. And when you said that, like, if I would have adjusted and taken Izzy out of the house, like, right, we're like, this isn't working for her, I would have gotten to what I needed faster too, because that's what I needed. I mean, eventually that's what I did. I moved out and I took her with me, and things got much more harmonious. I got a lot better, but by that time she was already probably getting sick. You know, that burden was on her body for a long time.
And then you come to us in the little shop holding your little Izzy, recommended by the next door coffee shop lady, right?
Yes. Oh, they're really lovely over there. Go ask them. They'll take care of her. Yeah.
And then you come in with her and you said, like, be very gentle because she has a seizures, and you are seeing this doctor and that doctor, and you are giving her this therapy and that therapy, and the seizures just become more intense and more longer, right? And immediately, you know, when I had, because I can talk about this little case that I had when working Order of Harmony with one of my clients in Serbia. The guy, that was completely case relative to yours, but I can talk about his because his case is explained in my book, so it's already published and public, right? And I was already starting to explore the family constellation and emotional entanglement, because in order to solve my problems, my entanglements in my family dynamics and everything, I was going through at that time. I met a family constellation at 2014, on the end of that, 2014-15, right? And then I was maybe very soon I was understanding how this dynamic works. I immediately recognized the dynamic that lives in a family that has a dog. When we live through this prism of representatives, where every system tends to get itself in the state of homeostasis, to put itself together, self-healing. And the importance of self-healing of the system. Now I talk about not only one person, I talk about the collection of the family system heals itself by balancing the truth.
Right.
And oftentimes we go out and we say the truth will set us free.
Right.
That's exactly the truth is set us free. And a lot of time in the families, you have these long forgotten secrets. Just don't talk about that, because no matter what, it's too painful, it's too, the people are embarrassed of those, the people are embarrassed of some, whatever was going on in the family, and all of those things were just buried under the carpet.
Yeah.
The more we grow, we learned about that, you know, either now or in 100 years or in 200 years, it just pop up out from nowhere, and we will be not even aware of how and how this dynamic works.
Yeah, you helped me see that. I mean, when I was having some issue, I guess, understanding why did all this happen with Izzy, like, it seemed, you know, like, so much. And then we did the family constellation. That was like, wow. I mean, it made so much sense. And like you said, the kind of the secrets that were there that were asking to come out. But it's amazing how dogs, like, how she's part of leading to all of that too.
Yeah. So would you mind if I share the story of this guy, and then if you want, we can go touch base with your one, or whatever lines from there. So he came. I can, maybe if I would, we always go with the flow. So maybe I would just, read this chapter, a couple of paragraphs from the chapter of the book that's called About Dogs and Awakening. I wrote, and you can purchase it on Amazon. I guess on a Kindle or Amazon. So everyone want to read the book about this, it's available on Amazon. But as well, if you're interested in going through your own family constellation or order of harmony to understand how the pets and why you cannot get to the point of discipline yourself enough to make them behave and start communicating with them the way so they can behave normally, like
it kind of helps you just to kind of like, it helps you see if there is emotional entanglement, like it helps you see it and why it is, and become more aware of how you might be creating that and you don't really know you're doing that.
Yes, because that's all unconscious, like unconsciously rooted. Oftentimes the people, when that comes out, becomes very shocked. But that's why we are shocked, because we don't expect that to see. And we wouldn't be able to see because it's a secret, it's hidden, it's somewhere there to be forgotten, but nothing got forgotten.
Right.
We can lie, we can pretend, we can hold the masks, we can try hard and hard and hard, and only ones that are going to pay would be our children, our grandchildren, and generations to come. But oftentimes that was the only way to survive.
Right. Yeah.
Right? So the guy learned about, this gentleman learned that I do this order of harmony, and he, I think, flew from, I don't know, I don't know where he come from. I think, I don't know. I don't want to say where he came, but he really came. He called me on Monday over via phone. I was recommended by my friend. He called me on Monday. He was in Belgrade. He flew in from far away on Thursday. So we sit together. We start conversation, and the dog is with us too. And then as we start talking, he was like really piece of the gentleman, very big muscles and everything, very, very gentle in talking, things like, but his presence was like, he was like 3 times me. That's very difficult to be, right? And he had such a nice relationship with his little dog, and the dog was there, and he was always like looking in him, because the dog used to, at that time when we met, he already used to have like around 10 seizures a day. So he just wouldn't know when they're gonna hit. So he was just always like going, looking at his side. As we start talking slowly about this, he reveals why he's coming, why is this so important to him, because the doctors told him that they can't give any more therapy, they can't align anything else more. They tried increasing the dosage of the medicine, gonna heal him anyhow, and they just recommended the euthanasia, and he didn't want to do that. So he was looking for all alternatives, just not to put his dog down. So he flew to me, we start talking, and then slowly he unfolds, when this conversation that unfolds when the family constellation therapy is in place. Then you are actually very in tune in this field of consciousness that holds all the secrets. That's actually nothing is a secret. When you softly, as you become more aware about becoming experiencing the field, becoming a therapist to that, you become very sensitive to this intensive, very, very intense and very nourishing way of field communication, where all the secrets tend to just unfold in front of us. And then I don't become someone that's interesting in what the secret is. I just become someone that witnesses it. Mm-hmm. And in witnessing the secret, I help clients see it with me. And when we do see it, then the behavior of the secret vanishes. It's like the electron. When the electron moves without being seen and observed and watched, it moves one direction. The moment you have a witness, it moves all over the place. And it's very common knowledge in physics. So he starts talking, and then slowly he unfolds this. When did you get your dog? When I got divorced. And then his mother was trying to connect with him by trying to force him to come over to take the dog to a walk. So the dog was a connection between him and his daughter, his wife, and then also to his daughter. And then the dynamic became very toxic, and then he moved away, took a dog, moved away, so he didn't want to come and go, and then every single time he comes, she would start a new drama. So they have very intense relationship, but then everything was, the dog was there to connect two of them outside the picture, you know, and then there was a daughter that he was very much, of course, connected to. And then as we slowly unfolded the entire story, turned to be, at one stage I asked him, like, did anything happen at the time of your divorce that brings you sadness and sorrow and regret, for no matter what reason? And then actually he's very nicely smiling and was nicely talking about and everything. Then at once he become like frozen, scared. He said, like, actually it does. Just before we divorced and we wanted to divorce, my wife stayed pregnant. And she stayed pregnant with me, even knowing that I don't want to have children anymore. So what he did is force her, a kind of like, not force her, but, you know, they had an argument about that. She should have an abortion about that. So, and finally she did. But he felt so much pain, guilt, and anger why he went through that experience. Just about that time when the dog came in their life. And once you take attention to a little cute puppy, all this very heavy story tends to be forgotten, because for the parents experiencing that kind of experience is always, no matter what do we think, to the body, to the soul, to the system, it's very heavy burden. The dogs are scared of the secrets because the secrets ruin the system. Because you never know if the secret need to be represented, who gonna represent the secret and in which way, due to natural homeostasis. There is no secret in nature. You can say God sees everything, consciousness sees everything, everyone saw everything, everyone that we tend to hide, someone is a witness of it. So nothing can be hidden. And then at that point, there is a little ritual of how that is to be, you know, how that little child is to be, or energy is to be welcomed back to a system, gets its place, so it becomes a support rather than the obstacle, and then the entire system moves on with a great happiness. It's kind of like completely reborn system, because something that was a secret and we were ashamed of and scared of and afraid of becomes integral part of everything that's whole, that creates us as who we are. Mm-hmm. Those as he talks to me like this, I'm talking here like 10 minutes maybe, this story unfolded and lasted for a long time. He was talking to me maybe 2 hours about this. He cried, we cried together, I witnessed, I showed. We went through a little family constellation rituals, connecting to the parents and the mother and the baby. So, and what was interesting at that time, he said, like, when we were like slowly getting out from this process, he was telling me, he never went so long without a seizure. The dog was laying next to us. Mm-hmm. Since we all had this going on, he said, like, I never, in last like, year, he was never going for so long with no seizures. And we said goodbye to each other. He went away, and of course, usually that's a kind of like one of the principles of the family constellation, that you don't re-entangle with the client. So you don't ask, you don't call, you don't ask, you just let the process unfold and trust the healing on its own, because sometimes the mind and the body and the emotions might get in, when we are thinking about things too much, then that might prevent a healing. So it's better not to, be there just to be curious, like, how are you now? Are you better? Things. Just let it be. 3 months later, out from nowhere, in the middle of the great graduation party that I have with my students, like we are getting all the ribbons and the cakes and everything, he calls me, unknown number. I answer. He said, like, do you remember me? Oh my God. He said, like, there was a miracle. We left your place and we went home. And since then, he didn't have a seizure. He has, like, here and there, but I can predict them. Already I can predict them, because when soon I start my inner challenges, either they are compared to a job or to my ex-wife or to my children or to my father or to whatever, here he comes with a seizure. And he was like, he was going to a doctor's, and he said, like, I don't know how to explain this. That dog should be put down. And he was in the waiting room waiting to get to his doctor for his checkups. And there was a lady that said, like, yeah, I just put my dog down because he had a seizure, so I didn't know what to do. And then he said, like, I was thinking to tell her what I went through with you, but I said maybe that was not a good time and place, because she was already made her decision and she already put her dog down. So that's where the dogs take a burden of ours, that we, for no matter what reason, or someone transgenerational, this can be a story of his father or grandfather, if not healed, the secret and the wound and the soul imprint tends to come out in the generations to come.
Yeah. Wow.
Isn't that?
Yeah, it's fascinating.
Yes. So
I think that's a good thing for people to know that you do, so they can get conscious of what entanglements they might have that they're not aware of.
Yeah, so if you have, sometimes the people wouldn't be bothered, with the dog's behavior, everything is okay, the dogs are doing mess, and the dogs bother everyone, just not the people around that own them, right? You have those kind of people, it just doesn't bother me. He can pee, he can do this, he can do that, everything is forgiven, and it just doesn't bother me. The problem becomes when that creates some fear in you, anger in you, and all kind of emotions that are actually connection to a dog, that you feel sorry for the dog, for example, or any kind of emotions that if you oh my God, he need to die, I'm gonna lose him, or whatever comes to your mind and gives you feeling of no matter which kind, rather than happiness and joy, that's something that actually immediately tends to take us to a emotional entanglement, that if you want, we can look deeper into in a very safe environment. Those interactions can be person. If you want to fly to Miami, or you can fly me anywhere, or you can meet me on Zoom, but you can schedule your consultation online. It's pureloveandharmony.com, and look for the Order of Harmony, and there you can read a little more, and then you can schedule your sessions.
I highly recommend it to anyone watching. I mean, if you're confused about anything with your dog's behavior, I think there's just no way to not benefit from going through that process and seeing how your dog is in your family system and what else is going on there. It just gives you so much awareness and just, again, insight into what your pet takes on that you might not realize.
Yeah.
And it helps you understand that. So yeah, definitely anyone watching, pureloveandharmony.com, go check that out.
Yeah, and from there you go to the tab called Order of Harmony, and there you can learn a little more about family dynamic with the dogs, and then schedule your session if you need more on that. Yeah. You can either call me or text us if you want to learn more without actually scheduling the session. So those consultations, of course, will be for free.
Long. And also, I think another thing, just as I know we're wrapping up, is just learning, anybody that wants to learn more and become more conscious about how their dog's behavior is actually teaching them and talking to them, um, to connect with us, because we are going to be launching the programs to have consults with John. Just like fur analysis is going to talk about the things that are going on inside your dog, like with stress and other nutritional factors. And then Sasha has, your expertise is over 30 years now in this field of understanding dog and dog behavior. So all the elements that can affect your dog's, behavior and what they're trying to say to you, and get solutions for how you can understand what's happening, build a better relationship with your dog that's better for them and also better for you through all those different facets, right? So like Doggy Mom Academy, Doggy Dad Academy, the rituals are so important to learn, and they're not that hard. I was like really surprised to see how learning how to become a leader like is different than what we're taught when we're taught obedience stuff for our dogs. So that's really important. So yeah, launching these things and having these, these classes and webinars and things that we can get this information out there, and individual consults like you're talking about, to where you can really customize it to what's going on in that family and what's going on with that dog. I think it's just invaluable.
Yeah, because the rituals are easy to be learned, but they are very hard to be implemented, and they are very hard to be implemented because we are emotionally entangled.
I actually don't think they're hard. I want to say I don't think they're hard. I think they're actually surprisingly easy.
Yeah, there you go. You're right. Right. I need to reset what I said. They are not hard.
And I would say that because I would tell you, I don't think they're hard. I was actually shocked that I'm like, oh, even I can do this. I can do this. What is hard is if you have emotional entanglement, then you're like, I can see I can't let go of this, but this is not the dog's fault. This is me. Then you need a little more help. And that's where I think you come in and really can help families and help, people know how to correct that, or just to lovingly sort that out. So everybody, honestly, it's kind of like everybody gets to heal, or everybody gets to let go of things. All these things, it's only going to make everything better.
Yes. Yeah. And the way you are representing it, it's perfectly. And I just, I also become aware of this, like that's kind of like I work like 30 years with a dog, and I healed my own life with them. I survived because of the dogs. When I was a kid, I dreamed of the world that I'm now, seeing on the horizon, coming up. And then it's very interesting how we became the Pure Love and Harmony is the first brand that I'm launching that's actually dedicated to a people owning the dogs.
Yeah.
It's not actually, nothing we offer here it's actually for the dog, because you don't need to take your dog to a class. We don't teach dog nothing. I don't need your dog to help your dog. I need you. And you need the Doggy Mom Academy. It's not a doggy academy. It's not a doggy training. It's nothing to do with the dogs. It's to teach you, elevate your consciousness, build in that understanding of the emotional life that we share with our dogs, that can lead us to the healing of our own wounds and long forgotten whatever traumas, very, very safe and effective ways that offer.
It's like for everybody watching. I mean, what is so. I mean, there's so much talk about this and so much true. Like when we change our inner life, if you believe in energy and that we're all connected, if something's going on with your dog, I mean, it's kind of like if something's going on in your relationship, right? Like look at yourself. If you're not getting your outer world is not what you're wanting it to be, like look at your inner world. And as you heal and change your inner world, your outer world starts changing. Like you don't have to go make, like it's like you don't have to go fix all this stuff. You just like look at yourself and fix things, and then things start getting in harmony. The different people show up in your life, different people go out of your life. Like things just start, the universe really supports you, whatever you want to call it, universe, God, whatever you call it. I call it both, but it starts to support you as you heal those things, and naturally then that would spill over into our relationship with our dog.
Mm.
They
Because that's so natural. That's the dogs are so wonderful support and tool and
Yeah.
resource, and we should rely on them because they know precisely where to take us. We just need to be enough, sourceful and
so
resourceful to recognize those messages.
and so would you say like dogs are mirrors? Like sometimes we'd say people are mirrors for us, like dogs can also be that for us?
Yeah, of course, because that's what the dog became to humans, like a man's best friend, because we failed to have one. Because we are full of secrets, mascaras, masks, and we don't even know who we are. That not nevertheless me to represent myself to you. I don't know who I am. I was raised by this, in this country, by this environment, in this school, in these circumstances. Who shaped my reality is far away from who I am.
Yeah.
And the one way to learn about how do we improve is to mirror ourselves in the faces of our friends.
Yeah.
But and then from the friends we get all kind of support that sometimes maybe is not an adequate support. So oftentimes we get possibility to grow from experience of these deep, hard, primary emotions that can help us grow. But suddenly, because it's much easier, we cover those with these secondary emotions that are kind of like, oh, it's much easier to cover these ones. But these ones are the ones that are causing a trouble later on because become part of our subconscious mind and
You're preaching to the
our life
Yeah.
without us even knowing. In an absence of the true friend, in human face, we turn to something that we have, and the only thing that's left out there, the God and the universe said, okay, you can do it with the humans, let's give you a dog, try now.
Mm-hmm.
Can you see that?
Oh, I totally see it. Yeah, I totally see it. I mean, I think that's what's like we're all getting to see that now is how their support, but we really have a breakdown in communication with them.
Yeah.
What for that dog behavior is teaching us so much about ourselves.
Yes, there you go.
And
I think this is
we
a
need to
great.
be aware of that and willing to look at what other these under things could be. I mean, it's so like again, we're out of time, but going back to kind of connecting with my situation when I was in that situation, I stepped out of that situation, and it was the pandemic, so she was dealing with that, so was I in Los Angeles, which it was really like shut down. But the good part about that is it gave me a lot of time to look at my stuff, right? Why was I in that relationship? Why did I keep trying so hard? Why did I do this? Why did I do that? And so I didn't want to blame anything I wanted to take complete responsibility. It's like, why did I sign up for that? And what do I get to learn? And she helped me a lot. Like, after I could get out of the chaos, I could start seeing things more clearly, and I could start seeing her more clearly. And then, learn.
I need to, easy if you're watching us, I know you do, like, thank you so much for everything you did to us, because look, where did she took our relationship? It was one little knock, knock, can you just please take care of her? And I said, yes, sure, now, just let's do it now. And then we had this little conversation, and then we stay in touch, and then we stayed more in touch, and like 2 years later, is it 2 years?
Yeah, it's
2 years later. Can you express who is the CEO of the Pure Love and Harmony company?
I know.
There you go. So, by the way, for every one of you watching and listening, Shannon has a big credit for everything that's going on here because she did take a big role in our company by accepting an offer to be a CEO to a Pure Love and Harmony. So she and Vedran took a lot of burden off my shoulder by doing this organization things, and Shannon teaching me how to navigate through talking by her. She kind of like nicely guiding me through this podcast, and that's very thankful. But aside of that, you see how the life brings unknown opportunities to all of us.
Yeah.
I was praying for someone to come and that has this structural mind that can get me be creative, please. And then, you know, who brought me to life and to pure love and harmony was your little Izzy.
Yeah. Oh, that's really sweet. That's really
And
sweet.
that's an amazing legacy. And then you never know, this wonderful brand that we are building up gonna awaken. Can you imagine like how the world will look like if everyone would have a nice relationship with the dog?
I know I mean, this is part of why I think, again, I feel so aligned working with you. I mean, having, you have the business, like I have a business background, but you want it to be aligned with things you value and things you care about. And having the experience that I did with you with Izzy and how you took such good care of her, but also me, like teaching me and helping me understand what was happening to her. I was like, oh my God, everybody needs to know this. Like everybody needs to know this, because I did love her so, so much. And she's such a huge part of my legacy and my healing. I mean, I think I went through a dark night of the soul. I mean, let's be honest. There was so many things that I think were happening to me to break me open to really go to the next level. And she's a huge, huge part of getting me to love myself. Right. And like raising the bar for what I needed in my life and just calling a spade, like the people that were not there, like no big deal. Like I need to go on, like, this is where I'm supposed to go. These are the kind of people I'm supposed to be with. And it's not even a thing. It's just what it is. Like, just go. And I was a little slow but she knew. And now, like you said, she's the little legacy from me that taught me to love myself. And that little spunky thing stayed living. For those of you who were here at the beginning, when they said she had a brain tumor, they told me she was going to live 4 to 6 weeks, I think. Mm-hmm. And she lived 7 to 8 more months. Yeah. And the doctor could not believe that she was still alive. And I know she did that for me. Like, I really feel like she did that for me to make sure I got to where I needed to, because we were like good again, like I was listening to her. I was understanding what was going on, and I wish I had understood it sooner. But for that time, I felt like she was happy and was freer, and I was learning more, and I was expanding, and it's just a really cool thing, to the point where she left when I told her, like, it was time for her to go. But she, bless her heart, she hung on there. Like, and I said, it's time to go, and thank you for holding on for me, and thank you for everything you've done for me. And I told her to give me a little sign on the other side, because I'm not very good at subtle. So I was like, please make it obvious. Let me know let me know you're good. And 5 days later, when I went to pick up her ashes, we had a big snowstorm coming. I was here in Fairfield visiting my family. It was the holidays, and the news called the storm Izzy. They named it Izzy, and it was like we got like 10 inches of snow. And I just totally
really give you a better sign of she's okay and everything is the way it's supposed.
These gigantic snowflakes falling from the sky, 10 inches of snow, and the storm was named Izzy. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I told you she was feisty, 4.5 pounds, and she did a thing for me to make sure I wouldn't miss it. So I just think that our dogs are so powerful, and they do teach us so much. And I'm honored to be here, Sasha, and I'm honored that you asked me to be a part of this. I really do feel like the mission and the vision to help raise this consciousness in all of us, because there's so many people that want to be taking such good care of their dogs, but there's more to the story. There's more to the picture than what we've been taught. And you have that knowledge, and to get to be part of bringing this forward. I mean, it heals humans and it heals dogs.
Wow, such a big responsibility we have, actually, to bring this to fruition, and to bring this to every single corner of the world and in every single pet family. Yeah. For everyone watching and listening to us, thank you so much for being so kind of supportive during all of this time so far, and I hope in time to come even more. So with that said, I guess we should leave you now.
Yes, and you need to go celebrate your birthday.
Okay, yeah, we are going to go celebrate my birthday, and then you have a safe flight. Are we going to have a next week episode too, or?
I think we need to figure that out. We're going to have some episodes with doggies in Paris.
There you go.
I'm going to Paris, so maybe I'll meet and interview some doggy moms in Paris and see what dog life is like over there, and who we can help over there.
Wonderful. So see you then next week, I guess. And meanwhile, have a safe flight and see you soon. For you watching and listening, thank you so much for tuning in. And then until next time, we wish you all the best.
All the best. Au revoir.